Almost every country's government has issued a national currency to make trade among people easier. In order for foreign trade to take place, the two participants must both be using the same currency. If Target wants to import goods from Mexico, Target will need to convert their dollars into pesos, otherwise the Mexican company would be unwilling to sell their products to Target. How do you know how much your currency is worth in another country? Exchange rates are the price of one country's currency in terms of another country's currency. For example, $1 in the United States is equal to 100 yen in Japan. This means a person with dollars could buy 100 yen for a dollar. A person with yen would pay 100 yen to receive $1. Most countries today use a flexible exchange rate. This means changes in supply and demand for a currency in the foreign market will cause the currency's exchange rates to fluctuate, potentially every moment of every day. However, most exchange rates make only small adjustments over time. This graph shows that in January of 1985, you could buy nearly 260 yen with your dollar. By the end of 1987, $1 would buy only 120 yen. The graph on this page represents the US dollar market. Notice that the y-axis, the vertical axis, shows the price of the US dollar in yen. Another way to think of this is the number of yen received when a dollar is exchanged. The exchange rate is determined by equilibrium, where the supply curve and the demand curve intersect. The supply curve represents the number of dollars available to the world to buy. The demand curve represents the number of dollars the world wishes to buy. It is important to note that the foreign currency exchange market is not the same as the money supply in the United States. The foreign exchange market occurs outside of a country's borders. Think of this market as if it is on an island in the Pacific Ocean, where every country's currency can be bought or sold. When a currency is purchased, a change in demand for that currency occurs. When a currency is sold, it changes the supply of a currency in the market. In this graph, 100 yen is the price of a dollar. Or if you exchanged a dollar, you would receive 100 yen for that dollar. Two terms to be familiar with are appreciate and depreciate. When the price of a currency increases, it is said to have appreciated. This means you are earning more foreign currency for each dollar exchanged, and that's because of the price of the dollar has increased. Conversely, when the price of a currency decreases, it is said to have depreciated, and this means you are earning less foreign currency for each dollar that you exchange. This fluctuation of the currency means that you can pay a different amount of American dollars for a foreign product depending on when you buy it, even though the foreign price has stayed the same. So here are some practice problems to look at. On this slide, you have a chart showing the exchange rates for the US dollars in 2010 and in 2014 here at the bottom of the screen. In 2010, the US dollar cost 8 pesos, or you would receive 8 pesos for each dollar you exchanged. In 2014, you receive 10 pesos for each dollar exchanged. So let's say you take two trips to Mexico, one in 2010, another in 2014. Each time you purchase a woven blanket as a gift for a friend, and the blanket is the same price for each visit, 80 pesos. How much did the blanket cost you in US dollars in 2010? Take the price of the blanket, 80 pesos, and divide it by the number of pesos you received for each dollar exchanged, 8 pesos for each dollar. And this means that you have paid $10, 10 American dollars, for that blanket in Mexico. Going through the same process in 2014, the blanket would only cost you $8. Now that you're getting 10 pesos for each dollar exchanged, you're only having to exchange $8 to get the 80 pesos you need to make the blanket purchase. Keep in mind that here we're showing that the dollar appreciated versus the pesos because you're receiving more pesos per dollar. And because you're getting more pesos per dollar, the appreciated dollar is allowing you to pay less American money for the Mexican products. So what causes exchange rates to fluctuate? Let's look at 3 common causes. 1, export and import of goods and services between countries. So let's say that the United States becomes the best producer of electric cars in the world. So Japan will want to buy a greater number of them. The Japanese will need to purchase US dollars in order to purchase the electric cars from American producers. The export of American goods creates a demand for the US dollars because the Japanese are purchasing our dollars in that island currency market that I had you imagine. This will cause the demand for the US dollar to increase. The Japanese will purchase large quantities of dollars to purchase the US electric cars. The increase in demand for the US dollar will cause the dollar to appreciate. Before the electric cars, the dollar was equal to 100 yen. After the Japanese purchased the US cars, the dollar is equal to 150 yen. The dollar price has gone up. If we exchange our dollars for yen, we're now getting more yen per dollar. Another reason for exchange rate fluctuations is the amount of national income earned inside of a country. When a nation's total income changes, it affects the amount of disposable income workers have to spend on goods and services. For instance, if the minimum wage increased by 5%, a significant portion of Americans would have more money to spend. Some of the purchases would be of foreign goods imported into the United States. Foreign currency had to be purchased by American businesses in order to have the foreign goods on hand to sell. This transaction is going to increase the supply of US dollars on the foreign currency market. When an American goes to that imaginary island, we're going to have to leave American money there in order to take away the yen we want to use to purchase the foreign product. This is going to cause the price of the dollar to decrease because of that increased supply. And Americans now receive fewer yen per dollar, so we will import fewer goods. The Japanese now pay less to receive a dollar, so U.S. goods cost them less, and U.S. exports to Japan will increase. The third reason for exchange rate fluctuations is comparative inflation rates. If inflation rates are higher in the United States than they are in Japan, that means U.S. prices are rising faster. American goods may no longer seem like such a good deal, and Japanese goods are going to seem like a better value for our money. As a result, Americans will choose to sell their U.S. dollars in the foreign currency market in exchange for Japanese yen. This again will increase the supply of U.S. dollars in the foreign currency market. Like explained before, this will cause the price of the dollar to decrease. Exports will increase because American goods cost less for the Japanese to buy. Now that they're only paying 75 yen to get our dollar, they pay less of their yen to purchase our American goods. Conversely, imports will decrease over time as the Japanese products become more expensive. Since we're only getting 75 yen for each dollar exchange, we're going to have to give up more dollars to get the yen we need to buy Japanese products.